Welcome, useful content community. If you want to use video to entertain and educate and get more customers, you don't want to miss this show, because today we are honored to have with us content creator, video strategist, and founder and CEO of Impaxs Marketing, Alex B Sheridan, to show us just how to do that.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
This is a Useful Content Creation Show where business owners come to learn how to create useful content and to build better long-term relationships with their clients and their employees. My name is Juma Bannister. I am your host. I'm happy to be here with you. And for those who are in the comments, remember, we are the Useful Content Community. We own the bulb emoji. Why do I always forget to put this thing up? We own the bulb emoji. So much bulbs. Let me just check and see if I can find these bulb emojis. We own the bulb emojis. Throw up your bulbs and drop your hashtag UCC Live. And if you're here on the replay, drop your hashtag UCC Replay. And for my Facebook group, 120 plus strong, you can always put your hashtag Learn with UCC, because we're here to learn many, many things. Today, I'm happy to introduce our very special guest who's going to teach us useful things on how to create impactful edutainment videos that get more customers. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Happy to be here, brother. Thanks for having me. I love that intro voice too. That dark, that deep voice in the introduction. Whoo! That's good.
Yeah, that's that person is called Dyer Otley. He's a professional. He is.
I know him.
Yeah. That's Dyer. He's been around.
Yeah,
He's one of my good friends. He's actually been on the show.
He's good.
Yeah. Thanks, Dyer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could do the same thing, but
me too.
Just octave higher type of thing. All right, Alex. It's great to have you on as I am very, very what's the word? It's been a long time coming. Let me just put it that way. And so before we go on, and the people may not know you, tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Alex. I'm the founder of Impaxs Marketing. We help companies take their video content and turn it into the 24/7 sales rep for their business. So it's really two parts. We do strategic work with clients, meaning we will map out their content strategy, video strategies, LinkedIn, TikTok, that kind of stuff. And then we also do video editing as a service as well.
All right, excellent. And so you kind of first started your business as a side hustle back in 2019, and sometime during 2020, you went full time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, July 2020, I went full time. Was working at a corporate job for 6 years. Built this as a side hustle until I was able to replace my income, but made the shift, and here I am.
Okay, great. So, it's interesting. I had to create a special time for you because you couldn't do the show on the days I would normally have it. So on the weekday, it was too late. And on the weekend, you I don't work on a weekend.
Well, I work on my own time on the weekend. Yeah.
You work on your own time on the weekend.
Yeah,
so it's not external stuff. It's your own time on the weekend.
Yeah.
So do you consider yourself to be an extremely structured person? And do you take that structure into how you create videos?
Structured to an extent, I do. I mean, it's weird because when you think creativity, you think almost unstructured, and you think just unleash it and let it go everywhere. And in a certain way, it is kind of that. But I am structured in the sense that, when I wake up, which is about 5:30 in the morning every morning, the very first thing I do, my day is very structured in the morning, and then it gets a little crazy. But one of the very first things I do is I go to the coffee shop in the morning, which is kind of my creative space. And so 6 a.m., I'm sitting in the coffee shop. It's me and my phone and my notes app. I try not to pull up emails, social media at that point. I'm just literally spending an hour of my time being creative. And so I just let my thoughts run wild. I've got ideas in my notes app. So of course I'm pulling from those ideas. Sometimes I'm expanding upon them, turning an idea into a story, into an edutainment skit, whatever I'm working on that day. But it is structured in that I think people are surprised sometimes when they think that I actually schedule time to kind of unleash my creative. So I do think it's a balance, right? You got to let your mind run free. And there's things that are going to hit you throughout the day. I may get off this live. I may get off a client call. I may get an email that triggers something that I'm like, ooh, this could be a great video. This could be a great skit. It could be a great idea. So it's hitting you throughout the day. But I think that little bit of structure gives me what I need to really take ideas and subjects and sort of bring them to life.
Yeah. I kind of get that. I kind of get that you have organized your life, and you've revealed that as well in a video, even most recently.
Yeah,
kind of how your day goes, and the from the top to the bottom of it. And I know inside of that there were things that were left out because you have to leave flexibility for certain things. But I get that. That's interesting to see behind the curtain how things work, and that's something that you advocate for, like showing your process and showing behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I also think that everyone has their own unique process and their unique kind of way they structure their day, right? So I was simply highlighting mine for people to say, ooh, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that could work for me. But hey, here's some things that I wouldn't do because it just doesn't fit in with my schedule or me as a person. So I think everyone's got to come up with their own rhythm, right? And there's no right or wrong. You have to think about two things. You have to think about your own life and happiness and relationship with your family, friends, things that you want to do outside of the business that seep into the business at times too. And then you got to think about how you're going to run your business, the results you want from that. So I think about both, like how do I structure my day in a way that I build this life and then I build my business around the life versus what I did in the beginning, which is I built this business and then try to fit everything around my life. And that's typically a recipe for a disaster.
Right. So you kind of build your life first and then put the business after. You swap the whole excuse me, you swap the whole arrangement of things. What are the benefits to doing that? Swapping that arrangement?
Happiness. I mean, for me, it was like I got to a place, just to give you a specific example, I got to a place where I started offering services and the way I structured my business and interacted with my team that I spent so much time in the weeds of my business because of the specific offer I had with editing and doing content for clients. That it took away from my morning time of being creative in the morning. It took away from my own creative space. It took away from my freedom of being able to shut down at a certain point in the night because I was constantly getting emails back because I was doing this day-to-day content creation work for clients. So what I had to do is sort of start back over and say, how are we going to restructure the business in a way that my coaching consulting services are on one side and then the video editing side is done with the team. And I don't have to be in the day-to-day of that stuff. And so it required me to take a little bit of a hit financially. But what I did, what was the plus from that is that now I have a life and a schedule that I'm really happy with. I've got more creativity back than ever. If you've seen with the recent videos, I'm having more fun as I've ever had before. My team is flourishing more than they ever have before. And our clients are being taken care of better than they ever have before. So it's a ripple effect when you really put your life first and then build a business around the life.
Right. And I'm guessing that having fun with what you do actually, it seems like it would make you less productive, but in your case, it does make you more productive.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you have to have fun. Business and life is too challenging to not go through the day-to-day stuff and have fun because you're going to get punched in the face. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have deals that fall through. You're going to have content that doesn't perform. All of that stuff is just part of the game. But your ability to like laugh it off and smile and have fun as you create, as you interact with people, as you work with clients, to me, that's everything. Like it's almost a requirement to work with me is like, you got to be able to be on our team internally and then externally to work with clients. If you can't have fun in the process, like I really don't want to partner with you.
I get you. A prerequisite. All right, let's acknowledge some of the people down in the comments. And these are the people in my Facebook group. Facebook is kind of wonky, so we're not going to see their faces, but people are throwing up their UCC live and throwing up their bulbs and throwing up their little bit UCC. And people are saying good morning. Shania got through with the avatar. Shania saying good morning, hashtag UCC live. And somebody agrees with you. They said hashtag happiness. And so I want to acknowledge those people down there in my Facebook group. Thank you so much for jumping on in the middle of the day because we are doing this. Regular people have a regular 9 to 5 couldn't possibly do this. So we appreciate you if you're sneaking away for a few moments to look at the video. we are thankful for that. All right, let's jump into the major topic of the day. But before I get into that main topic, I want to ask you one big question. What makes your content useful?
Well, it drives 90% plus of the leads that I get from my business. So that convert into actual clients. So for me, without content, like the content is the engine that runs the business from a lead generation and client acquisition standpoint. So if I shut down all content today and took away all my videos, I would not have nearly as many clients and leads coming in. So it's ginormously useful for that reason. And that's how it should be for pretty much all businesses.
Right. Good. And so I would suspect that you kind of saw that before even, well, that was the whole point. You got into it knowing that this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, before I was doing cold calling, emailing, that kind of stuff, knocking on doors at my corporate job, which can work. I'm not knocking that. But what I discovered was that if I could put myself out there in video, create content and have video testimonials and videos on my website, videos on my social media sites, that people could interact with me, get a feel for me. I can build trust, credibility at scale. I mean, I can reach 100-something thousand people in the last 7 days just on LinkedIn. That's a lot of people, right? And then I can look at the demographics and say, am I reaching founders, CEOs, executives, my target clients, which I am. So I can do that at scale and I have supreme control of it because it's my content. And so I just got to make sure I create great content for my audience and distribute it. And it's going to be seen by, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people every single week. So that, and then what happens then is then you get people to come to you. And we all know that inbound leads they convert better. They're easier conversations. You have to sell less. You can charge higher prices and margins because you're now coming from a place of authority. And so I've done both. I've done the cold calling and the cold side outreach. And then I've done the inbound from content, the warm stuff. And I would never go back to just the cold stuff. Never.
Yeah. And it makes absolute sense because you begin to, one of the things that people always say about content, and I'm sure you've gotten this, is that, I feel like I know you.
Yeah. Exactly. It builds trust, credibility, and likability at scale. And so people can watch. Maybe I was on a call yesterday with a soon-to-be client that I was like, how much of my content have you seen? Like, what videos caught your eye? And she goes, actually, just one. It was the one from last Friday where I was pretending LinkedIn meets TikTok and the personification of the actual platforms. I'm sure you've seen the videos, right? We got a whole series on it now. She saw just that one video, went to my profile, saw it was nicely done. It was clear as to what I do. She saw testimonials, booked the call, and now she's going to become a client. Other clients, they'll watch you for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. And maybe it just wasn't the right time before, or maybe they were going through some things, or maybe they were still figuring what they wanted to do out. But because they've seen you so many times, they have felt like they got to know you. They've built trust and credibility, and now they're booking the call and they're going to become a client.
TikTok, since you mentioned that you've been on TikTok for about, I would say 5 months now, would you kind of agree that this is a time in the history of video of multi-purpose content where previously established borders of acceptable content on each platform are kind of being broken down? You can take one piece of content and distribute it across all the relevant social media platforms and have reasonably good impact, engagement, and response. Do you think that's the time we're in?
Yes. I mean, I think what always is going to win for the most part on social media platforms, especially like a TikTok or a LinkedIn, is when you create content for that platform. Mm-hmm. So the content that's going to always perform better is, at least in my experience and from working with clients in that experience, is that when you create content for a specific platform, a specific audience, and you create original content, that is typically, if you look at 100 videos versus 100 videos from the same person, one is repurposed, maybe interview clips, live clips, podcast clips, and then one is 100 videos of them creating original content for that platform. I would bet everything that original content performs better, assuming that the creator knows how to create content, they understand the platform, contextual nature of it, and that kind of stuff, because that's just how it works. You're creating something that is specific for that audience and that platform versus repurposing it. But repurposing is great, and I do both every single week. Repurposing is great because it allows you to take a live call like this where maybe 15, 20, I don't know, people are going to see it live. And then we can chop it up into micro content, get 5 to 10 clips. Now, hundreds of thousands of people can see this live event that wouldn't have saw it before. So repurposing allows you to scale your content efforts. It allows you to build a podcast, live events, client calls, anything. And it allows you to take that, break it up, and then scale your message and content stories out to the masses. So that is important. I mean, if you look at Gary Vee and these types of personalities that are huge on social, that's what they're doing. They're just taking live events that actually happen, they're chopping them up, and they're posting it on social because it's easier. It's scalable. You can have a team do the editing, that kind of stuff. But original content is where the most creativity is. And that's typically going to outperform repurposed stuff.
Right. Excellent. All right, so let's jump into a bit of what is edutainment. And let me ask you the question. Well, and you've discovered that you've gone through a journey of kind of fine-tuning how you do it. But for the people who don't know, what is edutainment and why should anyone care about creating those types of videos?
Yeah, so edutainment is taking a good message that you have, like an educational message or a motivational message that's on brand for what you want to accomplish. It aligns with your business objectives. You're taking that message and then you're adding an entertainment flair to it. So there's a good core message, but you've delivered it in a way that's fun to consume for the audience. And so what that does is it allows you to get your message out to more people because it's fun, it's interesting. You grab the attention of people. They're more likely to watch the video all the way through. They're more likely to engage on the video. So now you've just taken that message that maybe would have landed here if you just would have said, here's my message for today, maybe it would have got here. You're taking a similar message and you're getting it out to here because it was delivered in such a fun and engaging way.
Right. And so what I hear you saying is that before you think about entertainment, you must think about the message.
Yes, the message is core. So that's why there's a difference between entertainment and edutainment. And people get these confused because they're like, oh, I made a fun video. I was like dancing and doing some stuff. That's entertainment. And there is a place for that. But a lot of times these viral videos are just pure entertainment. Well, the problem with that is that if you're entertaining people, they're going to want to come back to you for that. But if that's not what you sell, if that doesn't align with your business objectives, in most cases it's not going to, then that audience is going to be disappointed when they come back. And now you're talking about, here are 3 things that'll help you grow your X, Y, and Z. They're like, wait a second, I was coming to you because you were dropping these crazy entertainment or cat videos, right? So that's where you've got to align your brand and the message and your business objectives with the content, but just take that message and then make it a little bit more entertaining.
Right. I get you. And so it's important that we make a differentiation between just doing things to make people feel happy and doing things or creating content, not just to make people feel happy, but to engage them and allow them to lead them to making a purchase. And there's a difference between that. That's what you're saying?
Exactly. It's intention. You have to have intention behind your content, right? There's a reason I talk about the same 3 to 4 subjects, for 2 years now, how to create content, how to create videos, how to get your content to convert to clients, social selling, it's all very similar in terms of the messages, and there's new things that pop up, of course, but the core messages are very similar. If you go back and look at my last 100, 200 videos, but the delivery, the way I get that message out there, the way I edutain, that has changed. It changes week to week.
Do you consider yourself an entertainer, educator, or a marketer first?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that. I would say marketer first. Because even though I do educate, even though I do entertain or edutain, the main goal and the main objective with all of it is to market the business and services, right? So, and then to help my clients do the same thing. So I would say I'm probably, more than people think, a really good marketer that has disguised himself as an entertainer and educator.
Right. And it's interesting because you have said multiple times that you don't really have a background in marketing.
Nope.
And so you kind of had to learn on the fly. Was it difficult to turn yourself from who you were before into this person who now can identify as a marketer?
Yeah, it's interesting because what I thought was going to hurt me, because I was B2B sales. So I was a strictly sales guy, cold call, email, going on meetings. The one advantage that gave me, though, is that I understood the buyer really well. So I understood how buyers think, why they make decisions, how they make decisions, what they would need to see to be convinced that this was a good option to go with, the results, that kind of stuff. So I actually came in with a really good perspective and understanding of the customer, which is really important in marketing and branding. So I came in with that. What I didn't have was, I had no clue anything website, SEO, and I still don't mess with that. I'm more of just organic content marketing and video. But that stuff I had to learn, and that was a process, right? Like I had to learn how LinkedIn works, how now I'm learning how TikTok works, how to create videos that are engaging, that grab people's attention, how to build a profile that when people land on it, it converts to a conversation that leads to a meeting, that leads to a customer. So that stuff I had to figure out. But that stuff I learned along the way. But I would say that my experience in sales helped me understand the customer. And then when I got meetings booked from the content, I knew how to close those meetings and I knew how to service clients because that's what I was doing before.
Right. Yeah. And so you would say that every part of your process has had a contribution to what you're doing now. And it's been very, very valuable because sometimes people, they miss that. They kind of think I need to throw away all of this old stuff. But definitely you can see how those two things lock in for you. And that has been a reality in your process.
Well, and I think it actually was a big advantage for me not to come from a marketing background, not to have a marketing degree, because I didn't think about things in the traditional way. I was like, I'm going to make people laugh and smile, and I'm going to have a good message. I'm going to edutain. And I just brought these different elements on that most people weren't doing. They're like, well, you got to have this. You got to have a call to action. You got to have a link to your website. And I was just like, no, you don't. Like, I'm just going to do it this way. And so I think not having that background, I actually came in with I literally just didn't know. So I just like tried to create my own things. And I figured out some of it worked, some of it didn't, obviously. But that experimental process and actually the lack of experience helped me innovate.
Yeah. Do you ever feel performance pressure, that entertainment part of you? Do you ever feel a performance pressure in the entertainment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's natural, I think, when you post content. I mean, the more I am at it, the more I learn to let go of that and say, I'm going to create the best content that I can. And I'm going to put in 100% effort, and then I'm going to surrender the outcome. So whatever happens, if I create a great video, then I'm like, man, this should perform, this should crush it. And it falls flat. And falling flat for me may be different than flat for, depending on where you're at in your journey, right? Of course. But I've learned to let that go. So like in the same token too, when I have posts that perform really well, like right now, I've had a few that just went like mini viral on LinkedIn, over 1,000 reactions, 70,000 views for one of them from last week. And I don't let that get me too overly excited either, where I'm like, I'm the man and I got everything figured out and I'm good now. And this is going to make me happier. And I kind of just say, awesome. That's great. I love it. I got some great leads, some great business from it. It did well. It's building the brand, but stay the course. And I love what I do. So for me, it's like win, lose, or draw. I'm going to keep creating the content. I'm going to keep learning and innovating and getting better. But yeah, of course, when you're putting out creative content every single week, people expect you to deliver that every single week. Then you kind of expect it from yourself. So it's a balance of pushing yourself, but it's also on the other side, it's not being too hard on yourself, where you can have 2 bad weeks and that's perfectly fine. You can have a couple bad videos that bomb. That's perfectly fine.
Right. I love that. Surrender the outcome. Hashtag surrender the outcome. I like that. So it's not so much about the results from one video, but it's how you build the thing over a period of time.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you put too much emphasis on just one video, like you'll crush yourself. You'll discourage yourself. You'll get down about it. Like you literally have to think about the next 50 videos. So I have new clients that are like, that's my first couple videos. Like I thought they'd do better. And I'm like, let's really evaluate 10, 15, 20, 50 videos, 100 videos in, because 2 or 3 videos is like not even noticeable. Like you didn't even make a dent in your content marketing career, so it is about, you have to create a lot of videos. It is about quantity, and it's about developing the quality over time and getting better and better and continue to innovate along the way.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I know that you think about content that way. You think in long cycles and, but from a practical perspective for people who are creating content and who are getting into edutainment content in particular, what kind of time frame can somebody expect to get positive results and conversions if they're putting out excellent content consistently? What have you seen in terms of those returns?
I mean, it could be, if you're talking TikTok and even LinkedIn, it could be a couple videos. I mean, you could have one video pop and that could generate leads, right? I would say that more realistically, from terms of content and video in general, if you're talking about organic and not paid ads, you need to give it months. I mean, really, there are things you can do in the short term, like social selling and engaging on other people's posts, DMs, that kind of stuff, non-salesy ways to drive business. But in terms of your actual content, I think it would be unfair to quit if you're 2 months in and you haven't seen amazing results. I think it would be unfair to quit 4 months in if you haven't seen amazing results. Now, what you don't want to do, and what I see some people do, is they'll create content for 6 months straight, decently consistent, but the content hasn't gotten better, and they haven't gotten feedback, they haven't got help and support. And so 6 months in, the content's still not good. And they're like, well, I gave this 6 months. Yeah, but the content's not good. Like, people forget, like, the creative matters. I mean, what you put out there, yes, it matters. Just being consistent isn't enough. Just like me going to the gym. If I go to the gym 3 days a week, but I get in there and I kind of half-ass it, do a couple of things. You literally can see this when you go to gyms. There are people that are in there almost every day, but they're still not in the shape they want to be in because they're not really doing what they should be doing in the gym. They're not doing what they should be doing outside of the gym. And so it's the same thing with content. You've got to give it time, yes, because you're building a brand. This is years. I mean, if you're not going to invest in it for at least 12 months, don't even do it. Because really the year mark and the 2 year mark is when you really start to see the results, because now you've really built something for a sustainable period of time. But you do have to be getting better because the content matters.
Right. I love that, because in my mind, I always build things up as a year. I tend to commit to things for 1 year. And I think that's a reasonable amount of time if you are doing the work, if you're putting it in consistently, if you are looking at how ways to improve and actually implementing those things. That a year is like a reasonable amount of time. So it's good to hear you kind of confirm that people shouldn't expect instant results, because because even going viral is misleading. Even going viral could be misleading, and we really need to kind of take our minds off of the short term and think about what are the medium and longer term goals that we have. And one thing I know about you that you've said before, you mentioned when we were offline before talking, you mentioned your notes app. And I think you may have mentioned it even when you began to describe your day. And so you're always farming ideas and from your experiences and recording things in your notes app. Have you kind of seen a pattern as to how you get these ideas?
I mean, they all tend to come from interacting with my audience. That's the biggest trend that I would say or pattern that I would see, is that typically your best ideas are going to come from something that you tried and struggled with and that you learned from, that are applicable to your audience. Or two, they're going to come from your audience. They're going to come from your clients, your prospect, your calls. Like right now, I'm working on finalizing a deal with a multi-billion-dollar company here in the States, where we're going to train 10 plus of their employees, an ambassador program, on social media, how to create content, how to create videos, how to social sell. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for all of us. And I'm learning things as I go through this process. How do these C-level executives think about their team, about social media, about the marketplace? How do they think about content creation? What do they know? And how do they think about social selling? How do they lead around this stuff? What do they expect for KPIs and results? And so I'm learning crazy amounts of stuff from just interacting with this one soon-to-be client, right? And so I think most of it comes from that. You have to have an open ear. You got to really listen. And you got to really learn from every single person that you interact with, because they're struggling with something, or the way they think about something, or it's what they said in a post or what they said in a comment. All of this is fuel for your content.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all around you.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into some of the details of how you create edutainment content. Is there any particular structure or any particular way in which somebody could approach creating edutainment content? I know this is probably a class all by itself, but can you give some general tips as to the way somebody could approach creating edutainment content?
Well, what's important to understand if you're trying to create edutainment content, especially if you're newer at it, what's important to understand is that there's multiple levels to edutainment, right? Talking about educating content, motivating content that also entertains your audience. There's multiple layers to it, levels to it, right? So you could, at a very basic level, you could do something as simple as, like, instead of starting off your video like, hey, here are 3 things that you didn't know about X, Y, and Z, you could change your tonality, or you could change your camera angle. I could pop in and go, here are 3 things that you're missing. There's very simple things that you could change, and the message could be very similar to what you were doing before, right? There's very simple things you could do with editing. For example, if you're editing yourself, obviously, I don't recommend doing that long term if you're going to do super creative stuff, because it takes a long time to learn these types of skills. But we've got a client right now, one of our corporate clients, that we did a video for him, and he was talking about something at the holiday kind of Christmas party type thing. And we put in, he had his hands like this, and we put in a champagne flute and we put in a champagne bottle. And so like it kind of added the creativity, even though he didn't do anything different. He was just telling the story about how to build your personal brand at work. And he was talking about, it's not staying late, it's not being a hit at the holiday Christmas or the holiday party, it's doing X, Y, and Z. And we just added in creative elements for him that made it more edutaining, right? So there's that. So you don't even have to do anything at all if you want to hire a good editor. And then there's kind of the next layer, which is you're actually infusing some personality into the videos. And that's like my niche. That's what I love. But even with that, there's kind of beginner's level and then there's advanced level. And let me explain. So in a beginner's level edutainment, if you want to add in kind of your personality and some like another personality within the video, you could be talking about something like I did the LinkedIn playbook the other day. And I was like talking about changing updating your profile, adding in there the right things. And I said, one might even say, optimize your profile. And I did kind of a goofy thing like that. Yeah, you could do like, if you're talking about, hey, your videos right now are so boring, they're literally putting people to sleep. And then I could do a scene where I'm just like this. What? Sorry. No, so I was watching. So you could enter in characters at certain times, or you could be talking about how to, if you're a sales trainer, let's say, or you're a bigger company trying to teach your people how to sell, you could talk about cold calling and here's what not to say on a cold call. Don't try to pitch people as soon as you pick up the phone. The next scene, could you be like, hey, Jim, hey, you want to buy my services? Because we got a couple of things right now that I think you might, and then you go back to talking. See that? Like, that's not what you want to do. Here's a better approach. And then have you going back to the phone. That's pretty simple stuff that honestly, I've seen like almost everyone be able to do. The more advanced level, now we're talking about multiple characters. We're talking about creating a story, perhaps creating a script, right? And so that's like what you see from me, like the worst video of all time that we did, where I thought about how do I help people make better videos? And people always ask me, how do we stand out on social media when there's so many good videos? And then I did a video where the guy was like, by making a bad one. What? Like, we're going to make the worst video of all time. And so it's kind of like a funny spoof, right? And so you can create all types of stories and skits around that. But I just wanted to break that down so people know, because I think sometimes, especially when they see my videos, they think that that's an edutainment and anything else is just regular content, like education content. And there's actually a crossover there that most people don't understand. And so it's important to realize that there's kind of layers to it.
Yeah. It sounds very deep, but as you describe it, it sounds also accessible. Like many people could do it. Because that thing you said about 3 videos and whatnot, I realize that I do that sometimes, and I hadn't thought of it as edutainment.
It's a form of edutainment, right? Exactly, because what you're purposely, whether you know it or not, you're trying to make it fun to consume the content. And as an audience, if you sat up there, here are 3 things that you can do to make your videos better. That's not as fun as you going 3 things that you need to do right now that will make your videos, you know what I mean? Like, that's more entertaining. And so it's the same way with speakers, or if you had a teacher in a school, there were certain teachers that were just like really boring, or keynote speakers that are like, oh my God, they're going to put me to sleep. And then there are other ones that have a similar message, but it's the way they deliver it, the way they use their hands, right? They're trying to entertain. They may tell a joke in between to get the audience to laugh, right? Maybe a pun or something. That's all kind of edutainment.
Right. That's excellent. Kind of breakdown on how to kind of put together your own edutainment videos.
And if I could say one quick thing on that, it's really, really important that if you're trying to create edutainment videos, you leverage your personality and your natural gifts. So like for me, I love to add some music and some rapping every now and then. I love to act. I love to create skits because for me, that's fun. I enjoy script writing. That's not the case for everyone. So you may have a musical talent, you may have humor, you may be a little bit quirky, and that's a good opportunity to bring that in the mix. Like, there's all types of things. You may be a great storyteller, and so you can lead with some really great stories. But you do want to think about what can you naturally bring and kind of unleash from your personality into your content.
Right. Unleash. I know that's your buzzword right
Unleash
there.
The creative.
Unleash the creative. That's correct. That's correct. And have you found that? I know it will probably be hard to measure, but have you found a correlation between how entertaining a piece of content is and how people respond or even people get converted from the content?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, I've created a lot of videos now, and I'm almost to the point where I can kind of gauge how something's going to perform based on what the content is. Not on TikTok yet, because it's a little bit of a wild, it's a little bit of a wild card. But I'm close. But on LinkedIn for sure. And I can tell you that the more creativity mixed in with a solid message, typically the better it performs. So what I've really learned recently, the personification of topics, subjects, whatever you're talking about, if you can take a subject and bring that into a person, it's probably going to perform well if you execute it. So leadership meets sales. I'm sales. Another character is leadership, right? LinkedIn, I'm LinkedIn here, I'm TikTok here, and I'm going back and forth in a skit, right? Those do extremely well. And I've done those for a long time, but the personification of your ideas is huge. You could bring something to life, like any topic or subject that you have. If you can find a way to bring a human element to it and create a character out of it, but then still have the message be relevant for what you wanted to talk about, those will perform well. And I think more and more people are going to start figuring that out and doing more of those.
Yeah, you just released that secret to us right here. So personify your subjects. And for those who don't remember high school literature, personification is giving human-like characteristic to something that is not alive or something inanimate. So personifying your subjects. That's great. That's great. And they literally have conversations, yeah?
Yeah. They literally have conversations back and forth. Now, the key with them is the conversations they have back and forth should be very relevant to what's going on and to the message that you want to deliver. So when I'm talking about LinkedIn versus TikTok, I'm referencing that the TikTok algorithm or the TikTok feed is crazy and you can get sucked into it really easily. I'm referencing that it has really good organic reach. I'm referencing that LinkedIn sometimes can be seen as ultra professional and boring at times, even though I don't think it is. I'm really making these correlations, and that's what's fun, but it's also what really makes the content, because just like good stand-up comedian and movies and things like that, when we see something that we're like, oh, that's so true. Oh my gosh, that's exactly in their mind. They're thinking, holy cow, if LinkedIn was a person, that's exactly how this guy or gal would be, right? If TikTok was a person, that's exactly how they'd be. So you have to really bring that character to life and think about, if I was this subject or topic, what would I look like as a human being? Which is why when I do LinkedIn, everything is exaggerated, right? So when I'm doing the LinkedIn character, I'll put on glasses, I'll throw on a suit jacket, even though I don't really think that's what LinkedIn is. That's what people kind of associate it, is it being a little bit more professional, a little bit more buttoned up. And so I'm LinkedIn. Hey, TikTok, and then TikTok's like more casual. He's like, what's up? That's the style for TikTok. And so when you're going to do it, I think it's important to really try to think about as real as you can to those characters or those subjects or topics, and when you bring them to life.
Yeah. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that when the kind of inflection point for Apple computers back in the day, when they had the Mac versus PC. And,
exactly.
Yeah. It's the concept.
And you could, on that note, just to give an example, you could do Apple and Microsoft. If that made sense for your business and your brand, of course. But if you were selling technology and you're selling Apples and Microsoft, you could do a skit where I'm Apple and then the other guy or gal is Microsoft. And you could kind of make jokes at each other, like, oh, how's the new update? I heard it all crashed. You could have so much fun with it. You could do a regular water bottle versus a different one. You can do anything that you want. Any topic or subject can be brought to life.
Yeah, like a red. What's yours? Yours was what?
I don't even know what this is. I got this at my keynote. They gave it to me.
All right, so we have red. I don't know, red versus black. I don't know what I don't know what this is going to be. It's going to be something like that.
Here's a good example though. If we did that, and let's say we were selling water bottles, you may be doing one water bottle like this. This one's super. It's got a really good base and what do you call it? What's it? Insulation.
It's insulation. Right?
It's insulation, right? So it's really, even sound, I can't even hardly, it's really, really insulated. I may be doing, if I'm selling these kind of water bottles, and then I may do a regular water bottle where it's just plastic. And then midway through the conversation, the plastic water bottle is all of a sudden getting hot or getting really cold, or something's happening to the temperature of that person, that water bottle. Meanwhile, this one's like, no, I'm perfectly fine. It's not hot in here. I've stayed the same exact temperature this entire conversation, you know?
Right.
And so again, you're highlighting the features and the benefits or what's happening, but you're doing it. You're just bringing literally a object to life.
Right. That's excellent. All right, I think we've gotten so much out of this. We're not going to go any further with this segment. I want to thank you for sharing all of that stuff. I think the personification examples were really great for people. I'm seeing people saying in the comments, interesting. People saying we'll try that.
Yeah.
And so people are getting ideas in their head and getting a sight of how they could empower themselves to create these edutainment pieces. So that's great. All right, so let's move into a segment that I like to call agree, disagree, is where I ask you, well, I don't ask you, I make some statements and you'll tell me if you agree or disagree. Funny enough, you've answered some of these questions already, but we're still going to go over it and do it. So let's jump into that segment called agree, disagree right now. Agree, disagree with Alex B Sheridan. Let's pull it up now. These are not things that I myself personally agree or disagree with. These are just general statements. Some of them are specific to you. All right, let's jump into agree, disagree. This is one that I ask everyone who comes on the show. Agree, disagree, passion before skill.
Agree.
All right, agree. Why is that?
Yeah, I'll elaborate. So I think it takes, in many cases, it takes a passion or really a strong desire to build skills over a long period of time. So if you don't, so I would take somebody that's passionate, assuming that they're willing and have the ability to learn the skills. I would take that over skill, because I think skills really are hard to build without passion, without excitement, without a desire to really learn and beat on your craft.
Okay, excellent. Agree, disagree. Not everyone is meant to be an edutainer.
I disagree, because I think that people edutain in their own unique way. I think if you look at, I think I would agree with that if you said, does everyone need to be what Alex B Sheridan does? Then no, I don't think that everyone should or would. But I don't try to do things that, like, there's certain things that I wouldn't do that other people would be amazing at. So I think everyone's got their own way of edutaining.
Okay. Agree, disagree. Interesting. Agree. So it you know what it tells me? It tells me about your perspective on how you deal with your clients. That's what that tells me. It tells me how you go into the engagement and how you respond to them, and how you could possibly encourage them to unleash their own specific creative when they're doing stuff, you know. So interesting insights into Alex by just that statement. Agree, disagree. Organic growth on social media gives you the most longevity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think organic is truly how you really build a brand, right? And that doesn't have to be on social media. It could be through live sessions. It could be through your private communities. It could be through the groups. It could be through content, obviously, on multiple different platforms. But organic is that's the day-to-day. I mean, that's really interacting with people. It's building trust, credibility, likability. That will build the brand the best. And then if you wanted to mix in paid ads and that kind of stuff, that's more of a tailored, targeted approach. But yeah, for sure.
Okay, agree, disagree. How you tell a story is more important than the story itself.
Disagree, because I think if the story is crap, I think you can't take a crap message or story and wrap something magnificent around there. It's still crap. So I think they both matter. And I'd say the message definitely has high priority. Like there's some videos that I've created that I'm like, man, they were like kind of cool and creative, but the message just wasn't there and they didn't hit. And there are some videos that I've done where the message was so good, but the delivery or the storytelling was lacking a little bit, but the message made up for it. So I would say that the message trumps the creativity and the storytelling. But if you have a great message and you can't learn how to storytell and creatively deliver that message, then it's not going to be seen by the amount of people that you want to be seen by. So they're both important. It's like water and food. Like you kind of need both.
Right. There we go. Agree, disagree. Distribution over creation.
Distribution over creation. Specify what you mean by that, though.
All right. So some people are very good at creating content, but they're terrible at getting it out there. Some people are focused on getting their message out there. Which one is more important in your opinion?
Well, if you don't get it out there, it's basically you're creating it just for yourself. So I'd say distribution is very important with that. But it kind of, again, it's kind of both. Like it kind of goes hand in hand. If you don't have the creation, you have nothing to distribute. But if you create something, then you don't distribute it, then it's basically useless. So I think you have to find a way to make both work.
And you answered this one already. You said, I was going to ask you, not having marketing experience can be a massive benefit as a content creator. You kind of answered that while we're going through, which, and the answer was yes, it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality is too, is like, as you know, the whole marketing world has changed within the last even 3 to 4 years. So, I mean, the way we marketed 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, all of the vets and the VPs and a lot of the CMOs, not knocking them, maybe some of them have evolved and learned along the way, but our school systems, what they taught, the universities, all of this stuff was predicated on what we did in the past. And over the last 3 to 4 years, and especially since COVID, so much has changed. So if you're coming in, it's not like you're coming into a game that's been going for 50 years, 20 years, 15, 20, 10 years. This is a newer game. It's still marketing, it's still branding, it's still sales. But the way in which you approach it and how you actually get results is very relatively new in terms of the grand scheme of things.
Right. Excellent. And lastly, agree, disagree. On social media, you grow more from doing rather than consuming.
Oh, 100%. Yes, agree. Doing is by far more important than consuming. I mean, I would only consume in terms of just reading comments, going through other people's posts to make sure I build relationships, learn from their content, that kind of stuff. But you need to be doing, because doing is creating the content. Doing is having the conversations with people to understand what they want. Doing is having live sessions. Doing is building community. Doing is building relationships. Doing is 90% of it. I think too many people, I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. They're consuming so much but they're not executing, and the consuming becomes the excuse to not execute. I need to learn a little bit more. I need to read that next book. I need to take another course. I'm just not ready yet to create content. Once I get going though, I really want to roll this out. It's like, no, just go, just execute. And by doing, you'll learn, you'll figure it out along the way, have a plan, have a game plan, but executing and creating, I think, is much more important than consuming.
Excellent. Alex, where can people find you if they want to connect?
LinkedIn, Alex B Sheridan for sure. I'm on there every day. TikTok, I'm on there every day. Alex B Sheridan there. And then my email, if you want to reach out and learn more about what we do, is Sheridan, my last name, at Impaxs.com. I am as in Mary, P as in Paul, AXS.com. All
right. Excellent. And also they can find you on YouTube if they want to check that out there.
Yep.
Alex B Sheridan on the U of Tubes. Thank you so much, Alex, for being on with us today. It was a really excellent conversation. Thank you, Useful Content community, for being out in this midday special exclusive session with Alex B Sheridan. You all don't know, you just got so much stuff right here. Well, I guess you all might know right now. and so thanks everyone for being on. People are expressing their gratitude, which is very, very good. Thanks so much, everyone, for being on. And thank you so much, Alex, for being here with the Useful Content community and sharing how to create this edutainment content that will help you get more customers. And to the Useful Content community, I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.